Hello, welcome to another week. It is actually still Christmas week. I am finding some time to come into the shop this week a little bit, so maybe I'll get this video out before the end of the week, before Sunday or on Sunday, but we'll see. It is Thursday, it's Boxing Day, and I'm just kind of down here banging away. One of the cool things that happened in the last couple of days is the deer sold immediately. I put it down in the barn, and some lady was just like, I need it, and she took it. So that was pretty cool. And while it was down there, well, it wasn't immediately, it was down there for a day or two. But it was the first day that that lady was there. So anyway. But while I was down there, one of the trainers that works out of this barn asked if I could make a sculpture for her. And it's not a full commission just yet because we haven't discussed any kind of money or any of that kind of stuff. But what she suggested or asked for, I find really interesting. So she's a reiner, which is a type of Western riding. I think it's pleasure riding or something like that. And it's the horses do tricks and stuff. If you ever see this kind of stuff, they spin around in circles really fast. And then, well, one of the biggest things that they do is they do a sliding stop. So they run really fast and then the horse puts on the brakes. But the longer the slide, the better. And so we're gonna try to make a horse that looks like that. I got a couple of pictures, a couple of illustrations. It's really hard for me to find anything that doesn't have a big cloud of dust around the hind legs. And so I had to look for illustrations and stuff like that. So I'll show them to you here, wherever they may be. I got a GIF, and we'll see. We'll see what it comes down to. So basically, it's just a horse, but it's tilted, and its legs are underneath it, and it's sliding. Now, if you guys don't know if you guys remember, we made a nameplate for a horse named Gunner a while ago, and one of the things that Gunner does is slides. He's a reining horse, and he uses special shoes on his back feet so they can slide longer. And they're called sliding plates, and they're just horseshoes that are really smooth. They don't have the fullers in them, like the deep fullers, so then they don't catch on anything. And then the shoes, the nails that you use here are called racing nails, and they sit flush in there, and they're pretty cool. So what we need to do is I'm going to try to make a full sculpture horse. She wants it around the same size as the deer. I have a feeling it's going to get bigger than that just based on what I've done so far. So I'm just going to talk you through what I'm thinking of here, and then I'll take a break, get some of the pieces ready, and then we'll put some of them together. Some of the pieces that I did have, that I did make, was mini sliding plates. Now I'm going to brush these up and polish them and make them really shiny, but so these ones were the same size as these ones before, and I just cut the ends off, and then I cut the heels off, and then I made new heels, and so we made mini little sliders, and that's what we're going to make the base of the back feet out of. And if you guys remember the little lantern that I made, the solar lantern of the hoof, that was a nothing project at one point in time, but we did make it. And I'm going to do the same kind of design to make the back feet, the hoofs. So I've made these guys, and it's just a pair of small, like double-aught deltas, or double zeros. And I've made them as small as possible, but I didn't cut the ends off like I did with the sliders. Because what I kind of want to do is I want to take the back of the heels up probably really close in, and I want to flip them up and then twist them inwards and then twist them again. You'll have to see what I come up with. So then when the hoof is welded together, these two are going to come back into the back of the foot and then come out into where the leg starts. And that's, I think that's going to look pretty cool, and we're going to try, but bending stuff and twisting stuff can go wrong really quick And if I mess these up, then I'll have to remake them with, I don't know if I have another pair of deltas that are this small. So I want to be very careful with that. I want to take my time. I want to make sure I've eaten something, you know what I mean? So I'm not rushing in any way. I'm not trying to do it quickly. I want to do those very specifically. And then what I was working on at the beginning here is just straight bars. So I've straightened. I have to clean them. I tried cleaning them and then it didn't work, so I figured I'd heat them up, straighten them out, and then try to clean them. So it's a little easier. And so I've taken size 3 shoes. I've taken 6 of them. And I've straightened them out more or less. Like this one's a little wavy, but that's okay. I still have to work on them. They're going to have to go back in the forge. But what they are going to do is I'm going to put 3 of them per leg. And this is going to end up being the shape of the leg. And I'm going to put one on the back that's going to attach to where we pop the heels up here, right? And then we're going to shape the back of the leg from there. And then we're going to put 2 on the front, so it gives us that 3-dimensional leg shape that we're looking for. I've played around with doing 2 on the back and 1 on the front, so like just in my head. So before we weld any of these on, we're going to probably figure out, but either way, it's going to be 3. That's the thing. Either way, it's going to be 3. I think 2 on the front and 1 on the back seems the best, because the ligament that runs on the back of the leg, this could look like the ligament that runs on the back of the leg. And then the 2 could just give us the rest of the shape, as long as they're tilted in the right direction. But we're going to have to reshape these into what the shape of the leg is. And so I'm going to have to be very careful, but I can make doubles of each one because I want both hind legs to be as identical as I can make them. And then from there, we're going to clamp the legs down in the width that we would like them to be, which is approximately, I think, here. And then the legs will come, it goes like this, and then straight up, and then around into the body. And then we'll build the body off of that. And then we'll do the front legs, which we're going to do very similar front legs to this, but we're not going to put sliding plates. We're just going to use regular shoes, probably just deltas, because I think that's what they use on the front. She's got a whole 2 buckets worth of shoes she wants me to start using in this project. I'm using my shoes to start because I wanted to make sure that my idea is going to work. And from there, we're going to do the neck and the head last this time, because we're gonna see if we can match it all up a little bit better than we did with the deer. The deer had a little bit of a small head. I did put lights on the deer and do a top coat on the deer for the customer that bought it. The lights actually made because I just put lights in the antlers, and once those were on, it actually turned out looking pretty good. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna spend some time looking at some more pictures and stuff before I start bending these, but I'm going to take the time, I'm going to clean these up, and then I'm going to try to put the bends in these guys, and then when we come back, hopefully we're going to get some welding down to get the shape of the legs down, at least the hoof. We'll get the hooves up. I'm going to have to use pieces to weld the hooves together. I was thinking about just using the clips that are there, but I think those are too small. We want it to be up just a little bit more than they are. So I've grabbed a couple of pieces here. I'm going to need about 3 per, and so we'll have to cut some pieces out of our pieces to make it look okay. So I don't have enough little straight pieces in here, so like I said, I'm going to have to try to cut some, and I think that will work out just fine. So, we'll just grab all of our little pieces that might work and then put them in. So when we come back, hopefully I'm getting the hoofs ready to go. I have to decide whether I want them how far back I need them, and how high up they should be. It's gonna be an interesting project, and starting with the hind legs first, just because they're crazy. It's crazy trying to find a picture of the hind legs in a sliding horse because it's just a big cloud of dirt everywhere. So anyway, we'll figure that out, and then we'll get these cleaned up, and we'll see where we're at. Yes. I have some hoofs, some feet, some hooves, some hoofy feet. I'm not overly impressed with them, but I think starting again is out of the question because it's just so tedious. They look okay. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna be staring at them, but they are one of the more important parts of this project. But the orientation of them is the more important spot. So I put the little pieces in there to give it some stability and give it some look. I cut the clips off of these guys, which I didn't want to do because I thought it was a cool idea. Because this guy is the wonky looking foot. This guy is not as good as this one. Just because of the way it is. This shoe is different than this shoe, if you remember I was saying that. Just slightly. They're both the same size shoe, but one ended up being a little longer, and then the heels of the shoe were a little bit more bulbous. So working with it was hard to get it to look exactly like the other one before we started putting them together. I'm going to have to take it to the grinder because I want the welds, especially along the base of each of these hooves, to look fairly smooth and nice. And I'm going to have to wire wheel the bottom of these shoes again, just to get them kind of where we want them to be. But then I have some metal cooling. I've made some leg pieces, and the legs aren't turning out the way that I wanted them either, but I think we have a solution to that. I have two of the pieces here, and then two of them are cooling just now. So let me take this to the grinder. We'll be right back, and I'll try to clean some of this up. I don't want to polish all of it with the wire wheel though, so it's going to be interesting how I do this, but I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'll be right back. All right. So I've grinded some of the welds just on the base. I didn't do these ones. I did these ones just to give it more of a uniform look along the base, which is great. On this one, though, there's a big gap where the weld didn't take. We're going to leave it for now, but if it bugs me too much later, we'll deal with it. It's on the bad foot, too. Go figure. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the pieces we've made. Yeah, they're cold. These are not the pieces I want. Those are extra pieces that we're probably not going to use now because I've come up with a problem that I don't like. So anyway, so these are going to be the hind pieces. I've gotten pretty good at making them match. So if you look, they're pretty good. This one's got a little bit more of an elbow to it, but like they fit inside each other fairly good, which is pretty awesome. And then these ones as well. These ones are for the front. So the original plan was to put 3 straightened shoes per leg to give it that 3-dimensional look. Unfortunately, it looks ridiculous to use all 6 pieces. And I'll give you a quick show if it will show up here. This magnet is a perfect, it's perfect for perfect angle for this, which is awesome. So if we put this here, get this as straight as possible on the magnet. So we got the back of the leg there, which came out really, really nice. Originally, I didn't have this top curve in there, but if we look at the picture, then it kind of goes into the bum, and so I needed a little bit of a thingamajig, a curve. And then originally, we wanted to have 2 kind of come off the top of the hoof here, and on the side it looks pretty good, but on the front it just looks fat and awkward and not great. So my thought process here is just put 1. So then the foot is the 3-dimensional piece, the leg is kind of 2-dimensional, and then so we're gonna see what that looks like. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these pieces on. The problem with this front one, though, is I'm going to have to hold it in exactly where I want it to be, because I don't think that we're going to have magnets that can get right in there the way we want them to be. So we're going to get the 2 hind pieces on right now, and try to get them as even as possible from the hooves, and then we'll clamp them down. And then hopefully the rest of this project will take shape from there. As far as the front parts of the legs, we'll potentially look at doing both ways, but I'm not sure. So let's move this over here, nice and close to where it needs to be, and see what we can get done here. That is very crooked. I don't know if I can fix that. Okay. I think it's crooked because of the magnet. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but the straighter the better to start. Terrible weld. Terrible. One of the things I want to try to do as often as possible on this project is brush the welds really well as often as possible, like right after I've done them. Just because when it came to the deer, when I was putting the top coat on it for the customer, I realized that there were so many welds, probably like 10 of them or so, that I didn't brush or didn't brush well. And so I couldn't put the top coat on until I got all that taken care of, and it was very tedious. And I told her it would be a one-day wait thing for me to get the top coat on. And so I had to really rush to do that because I didn't realize that I had not brushed so many. So I'd like to make sure that I stay on top of that. I'll try to do as much of that off camera as possible. But if I stop and just start brushing in the middle, that's the reason. Oh, I keep smacking the mic. I'm sorry. I use my belly for so many things now. You know, it's a good thing about getting a bigger belly, I guess. It's got a place to rest things. So, anyway, we're going to go to the next piece, I think. And from there, we'll probably have to call it for this week to just get these legs mostly done. But this was going to be a short one anyway. I didn't have a lot of time. I still got some things to do, some family things to take care of. Yeah. Let's go this way. I want the good one closer to me while I'm working. So let's potentially get these where we want them to be. We're going to have to unclamp these again here soon, but I want to see what it looks like. We want the hind legs to be even. The front legs are going to be two different legs, which is going to be pretty cool. One of them is going to be up, and the other one's going to be straight down. It's going to be pretty cool. Kind of just like the drawing in the pictures. Okay, so the problem is the clamps are pulling it to one side, so I just want to be careful when I'm doing other things that I take that into account, that it's kind of tilted to the right a bit. But, I mean, if you have a good imagination, you can see the horse. You can see the horse there. But, and so if we take these and we put them in some variation of this, so yeah, I'll have to unclamp them to get the welds good. But I'm wondering if I take the curve off the tip and I just cut it off and flatten it, so then it just sits there better. But it will make it shorter, which I don't know. See, I'm still wondering if these need to get curved further this way before I put them on. just because I don't want to make these parts of the bottom parts of the legs should be skinnier, not wide or not widening even. It's one of the things that's just because I know as soon as I put this on, I'm not going to want to take it off and fix it if I don't like it. And then there's that problem. Oh, we got a problem. Is that the leg is going to go into a three-dimensional thing. So having it start as two-dimensional kind of sucks. These ones I didn't curve as much as these ones because these ones I knew I was going to put here. So I added more curve to them. You can see. But I can add more curves to these pretty easily without even heating them up if I want to. I'm just trying to figure out how to get these, if we do use two of them, how to get it to look less blocky. I could twist them. I could twist them in and then down to bring them closer together. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to tack these guys on, and we'll get that done. And then from there, we will see sorry, just it's not straight. We'll stack them on and stare at it for a little while because that seems to work. That's different, eh? They're both a little different. This is wider down here than here. But I think it's the same width at the top. Woof, we're going to have to stare at it for a bit, see if I want to leave it or not. I think when we add more stuff to it, that will become less noticeable, but I'm pretty much thinking I'm just going to rip that off and try again. The one thing I want the most is these back legs to look as good as possible. So I like the first one we did, this front one, or back one to you guys. That other one has just been, it was really hard to line up. It was really hard to get in place. It's not even lined up now. I could rip it off and fix it, but we'll see. We'll see. If I put a better curve in this one, then we bring it down a bit, that'll work. But they're looking pretty good, all in all. Like if I try to line up
the lines of the bottom parts of the legs. Everything else is really lined up. So I think that came out really nice. I think that just moving this guy a little bit might be the best thing to do. But we have a good start. So when it comes to the rest of the body, one of the things that we have to do next is figure out how the legs are going to attach to the body. Now there is the big haunchy part of the top of the legs, right? And so what this back leg does in the pictures, it just goes right into the bum. And so I'm thinking of trying to maneuver a shoe without moving it too much. Just make it into the bum. And so I'm thinking about grabbing a really big shoe. I have these two big ones here that we might use. And they're more Western style. They're the bigger Delta type shoes. They're not Deltas, I don't think, but we could use that, widen it, and then bring it around. If we widen it enough, then we can just bring it around, and then it forms the hind side. And then the front, the whole point was putting two things on the front was one was supposed to go underneath the body, and the other one was supposed to come up over the body. And so I think going over the body for both legs first, and then maybe we can put something off to the side, which would look really cool. But that's the next steps. Fixing that leg maybe, and then figuring out how the hind end really works into it. Now I want it to be more dimensional, so instead of lining the shoe up with this leg, I'm going to put it in front and weld it. So then it has that extra depth to it. And then we're going to just keep doing that to bring it out, because we want the legs to be, if we want the legs to be here, we want this to come out about, I don't know, an inch or two on either side. And then the hind end would come up around here. I feel like I'm groping the horse. The hind end would come up about here. And then we could, because remember he's leaning back into it. So we want the hind end lower, but we want it to come up and then into the body. And then underneath here is going to go on an angle upwards, and then the legs will come down. Well, the one leg will come straight down, and then the other leg will be curved up. So it's going to only have 3 legs touching the ground on this guy, but the tail is going to be the 4th. I think the tail, when we build it, is going to flow down and touch the ground because he's so low to the ground that the tail will be touching the ground, and we can use that as a stand as well. So there's that. I'm not as nervous about making the head for this guy as I am about everything else, because we've already done a horse head. We've done a couple of heads here and there. We just got to figure out the size of shoes for it. That's all. Yeah, so with that being said, we're going to call it this week. Just because it was the really short week. It was the Christmas week. And I wasn't sure I was even going to get a video done. So now I just got to find time to edit it, which hopefully I'll be able to do. But I'm going to put some more thunking into this, more thinking into this. And hopefully when we come back on the new week, in the new year, or the new year week, we'll have a little bit more to show and do. Because once we start getting into the body, it's better. But thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you again next week.